Most people can tell you exactly what they earn. They know their salary, their take-home, their monthly budget, but ask them what they're actually worth, the real number, the one that reflects every asset they own and every obligation they carry, and the conversation quickly becomes uncomfortable. Not because the question is difficult, but because most people have never actually sat down to answer it. And that gap between what you earn and what you are building is where financial progress quietly stalls. In this video, we are going to close that gap. We will look at why so many people are flying blind when it comes to their financial position, what net worth actually means, and why it matters more than any salary figure, and how to calculate yours today so that every financial decision you make from this point forward is built on real data rather than approximation. Let's get into it. It is a pattern that appears consistently, regardless of income level. Whether someone earns $30,000 a year or $300,000, the result tends to be the same. They know their payslip, they know roughly what sits in their current account, they might be aware of a pension they enrolled in years ago, a few investments they set up and rarely check, a loan they are somewhere through repaying, but they have never placed all of it in the same room at the same time and asked the fundamental question, what is my actual financial position right now? The reason is rarely laziness. It is more often avoidance, the quiet discomfort of not being sure what the number will say, and a preference for the softer certainty of feeling like things are going in the right direction. But feeling and knowing are not the same thing. And in finance, the difference between the two has real consequences. You would not run a business without a profit and loss statement. You would not navigate somewhere unfamiliar without a map. Yet most people are making the most consequential financial decisions of their lives, where to invest, how much to spend, when to take risk, without a complete picture of where they actually stand. They are operating on an incomplete set of information and wondering why the results feel unpredictable. The people who build lasting wealth share one habit above almost everything else. They know their number, they track it, they make decisions in relation to it, and they update it with enough regularity that it functions as a genuine compass, not just an occasional check-in. That is not a complicated discipline, but it is a consistent one. And it starts with a calculation that most people have never made. Net worth is the single most important number in your financial life. Not your gross salary, not your monthly revenue, not your credit score or your savings rate or any other figure that tends to dominate financial conversations. Your net worth, and the formula behind it is straightforward. Everything you own minus everything you owe. Assets are the things that hold or grow in value. Cash across all your accounts. Investment portfolios. Pension and retirement funds. At their current value. Property at a realistic market price, not the number you paid years ago. Equity in a business if you own one. Vehicles at what they would actually sell for today, which is rarely what they cost when you bought them. Liabilities are everything you owe. Not the minimum monthly payment, the full outstanding balance. Credit cards, student loans, mortgages, car finance, personal loans. And yes, buy now, pay later balances count. Every outstanding obligation belongs on this list, regardless of how manageable it feels in isolation. Subtract the second from the first. That result, whether it is a number you are proud of or one that is difficult to face, is your net worth. It is your real financial position. And here is the distinction that matters most. Income is a flow. It comes in, and for most people, it goes straight back out. Wealth is a stock. It accumulates, compounds, and continues to work even when you are not actively adding to it. A professional earning $200,000 a year with $180,000 in consumer debt and nothing invested is, in practical terms, less financially secure than someone earning a third of that who has been systematically building assets over a decade. The salary looks more impressive. The net worth tells a different story. This is the strategic shift that separates people who earn well from people who build wealth. Stop optimizing for income. Start optimizing for net worth. The moment you make that switch in how you think about your finances, the decisions that follow start to change as well. Open a spreadsheet. Create 2 columns. The process takes less than 20 minutes if you have your account information to hand, and the output will be more useful than almost anything else you produce this week. In the first column, list your assets. Start with cash, the combined balance across every account you hold. Add savings, whether that is an ISA in the UK, a high-yield savings account in the US, or any other cash reserve. Then, investments, stocks, ETFs, index funds, anything held in a brokerage account listed at today's market value, not what you paid for them. Include pensions and retirement accounts, your workplace pension or SIP if you are in the UK, your 401k IRA or Roth if you are in the US, using the most recent statement value. If you own property, include its current market value, not its purchase price, and apply a realistic estimate rather than an optimistic one. If you have equity in a business, include a conservative valuation. Vehicles should appear at their current resale value, not the price you paid. In the second column, list your liabilities. Every credit card at its full outstanding balance. Every loan, personal, student, car, at its full remaining amount. The outstanding balance on your mortgage, not the original figure. Any buy now, pay later balances across all providers. Anything owed informally, including money borrowed from family or friends. Nothing gets left out. Add up the first column, add up the second, subtract. Whatever that number is, write it down, put today's date beside it, and keep it somewhere you will see again. Because this number is not a verdict, it is a starting point, and it is the most honest financial statement most people will ever produce for themselves. Your net worth is not just a figure, it is a diagnostic. It tells you with a clarity that income statements and bank balances cannot where the leverage points are in your financial life and where the pressure needs to be applied first. If your net worth is negative, meaning your liabilities outweigh your assets, then your first priority is not investing, not property, not building a business. It is systematically eliminating high interest debt. That is the highest return financial move available to you at this stage, because every pound or dollar you pay toward high interest debt delivers a guaranteed return equal to that interest rate. Nothing else competes with it on a risk-adjusted basis. If your net worth is positive but modest relative to your income, you have an asset accumulation problem. Your earnings are not being converted into lasting value at a sufficient rate. That is a systems problem, and it is fixable, but fixing it requires seeing it clearly first, which is exactly what this calculation allows you to do. If your net worth is growing consistently, the task is acceleration. Find ways to widen the gap, increase the asset column, reduce the liability column, and ensure that the difference between the two grows meaningfully with each quarter that passes. Set a calendar reminder for 90 days from today. When it arrives, run the calculation again. Update every figure, recalculate the total, and note whether it moved in the right direction and by how much. That single habit, run consistently, without exception, will do more for your long-term financial position than most investment strategies you will ever come across. Because what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed tends to improve. So no, calculating your net worth is not a complicated or particularly glamorous exercise. There is no algorithm to master, no market to time, no specialist knowledge required. It is simply the act of looking at your complete financial picture, honestly, completely, without rounding up the assets or forgetting the liabilities, and producing a number that reflects reality rather than assumption. But that simplicity is also its power, because most people never do it. They continue to make financial decisions based on partial information, optimistic about what they own, vague about what they owe, and wonder why progress feels slower than it should. The calculation itself takes less than half an hour. The clarity it creates lasts far longer. Every strategy we cover on this channel, the investment frameworks, the business structures, the capital raising approaches, builds on this foundation. Without knowing your number, those tools have no anchor. With it, every decision you make has context, direction, and measurable progress attached to it. Your task before the next episode is straightforward. Run the audit, list the assets, list the liabilities, do the subtraction, and write the result down. Not because the number will be perfect, but because it will be true. And in finance, truth is always a better starting point than comfort. Because here is what experience consistently shows. The people who treat their net worth as a living, evolving number, something to protect, grow, and return to regularly, are not always the highest earners in the room. But over time, they are almost always the ones with the most to show for it. Download the free net worth check as a gift in the description. See where you are on the journey. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Share this with someone you know needs it. Know your number. Build your blueprint.